Perfect. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Great. So I'm here with Will Currie, who at last weekend won his pro debut at ROC 7. Will, congratulations, mate. How does it feel to be a professional?
Good, but different. Different.
Yeah, I remember I saw in the interview with Katie, the main difference you were talking about were sort of like throwing elbows.
Yeah,
which obviously got you
the
in.
elbows change up, Thing is, once you're on the ground, you can start, when you're in the amateurs and you're in mount position, for example, and you want to throw some ground and pound down, you have to throw punches.
Yeah.
And it's a very awkward sort of position to be in. Whereas in the pros, it's the perfect range. You're not going to get pushed off balance while you're on top. You just slam those elbows down. And I've been using those elbows to set up submissions, which I did last weekend. But you can't do that as well in the amateurs. But that's why I'm a pro now.
Well, there you go, mate. So in terms of training, making those changes, gaining a submission position from elbows. How long did that take? Obviously, when you were training as an amateur, did you shy away from that to stop yourself from, doing a foul?
I've
Something like
always
that?
been throwing elbows. I've always
Always.
enjoyed throwing elbows.
Yeah.
Even because I've always trained with pros. I've never really trained with amateurs. When I was having my amateur fights, I was always around pros, and in their camps they'd be working on elbows, so I just naturally work on elbows as well. It's one of those things that I've got pretty used to, and because I come from a very good grappling gym in the Hodger Gracie Academy, you're very good at setting up position before submission. Good thing about setting up position is you're good at finding a position to slam those elbows down as well. So by getting those good positions, you're in a place to slam those elbows down and get the submission. So it works very well,
Yeah, no, exactly, mate. You said you train with professionals. You see, you really sought after by sort of Jimi Manuwa. So how's that relationship work? Do you train full time together? What's your relationship like with Jimmy?
Jimi Manuwa was the first sort of like thing I saw when it came to like proper MMA, how to do it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got a lot of pretenders. You got a lot of people that think they know how to do it, how to fight. They don't have the strength and conditioning. They don't have the science. They don't have the nutrition. They don't have the skills. Jimmy was the first fighter I ever saw where I was like, wow, this guy knows what he's doing. So I followed in his lead. I was 16, I believe. I just left school. I was getting bullied very, very badly in school, and I wanted to learn how to defend myself. So I found a gym in Croydon near my school called Lions Pride MMA. And, I'd watched a bit of Conor McGregor, but still no real understanding of the sport. I went down to Lions Pride MMA where Jimmy was sort of the head coach, but he wasn't really a coach. He was a fighter coach. He was a weird one.
Yeah.
But I went down there and I just fell in love with the sport. Jimmy was really, really good to me. I remember one time he just took me on the pads for like an hour. He didn't ask for anything, just helped me out. And ever since then, I grew like a lot of. It was to be honest with you, it was like my idol. I think is the best way to put it. Someone I like to look up to, especially as well someone who's on the British MMA scene and someone doing so well. So then I carried on training, kept on going to the gym, and then Jimmy started doing very, very well himself, knocking out Oven St. Preux, knocking out Corey Anderson. And then that just motivates you even more because you see someone's hard work paying off. And then, we trained together. I went to All Stars with him, did lots of good stuff with him. He introduced me to his grappling coach. He introduced me to his MMA coach, and everything went well. Since probably about September, I've parted ways with the coaches that he had.
Right.
To sort of adopt my own sort of, because now I'm older, now I'm more into the sport. I have my own way of doing things.
It's understandable.
I have a way that I believe is the way to get good, the way to improve. And I made some changes, but Jimmy, I don't talk to Jimmy as often as I'd like to, but I'm always going to be grateful for all the help that Jimmy gave me early in my career.
And that's understandable, mate. That's, it's a very, very sort of like mature way of looking at it. And Jimmy's been through it all. Jimmy knows the situation. He knows that people, they have to move on to grow. And I imagine he'll see you in the future and like you said, there'll be no
Nothing
no
but
ill will.
respect between me
Exactly.
and Jimmy. Nothing but respect. I mean, I look up to the guy. For me,
Yeah.
the guy. To be honest, whether or not I knew him or not, it wouldn't make a difference. I mean, I think he is the most exciting fighter in the UFC at the moment. Every single one of his fights is kill or be killed. Every single one of his fights, he brings it. You know, he is a fan favorite to watch. If you've got Jimi Manuwa on the card in a UFC event, you know it's going to be exciting. And that's what fighting's about. It's about wanting people to watch you fight. And he does that better than anyone. So nothing but respect for Jimmy. Jimmy's a G. As
He
people
is.
say, you know, he's a G.
That's the thing, you know, not seeing Poster Boy on a London card. Obviously, he's due to injury, but it's going to be a weird one. He's always. It doesn't matter what happens, who he's against. If he's on, you know, that it's the UFC's coming to London.
You know, the fights that I want to see him in. I want to see him in either a Blachowicz trilogy.
Yeah.
You got to think about his losses. Like, I know he's had 3 losses in a row, and people try and give him stick and saying, "Oh, he's chinny, he's this, he's that."
He's winning those
absolute
fights.
Nonsense. You got Volkan Oezdemir, who everyone knows hits very, very hard. It was one of those fights where he got caught. Not taking anything away from Volkan, he did the job, but that was just one of those. It was a big guys fighting. Shot got caught, and he got caught. Then you got Blachowicz. He looked unbelievable in the beginning of that fight. Got caught, went down. Carried on fighting, showed a lot of heart, broke his nose, was trying to breathe out of a broken nose. He lost by the scrape of his teeth. And in his third fight, he fought Thiago Santos, who the guy is looking like a world beater at the moment. Yeah. He's next in line, I think, for John. And he was very, very close to knocking him out. It's a game of inches. I think with a style adjustment in that fight, and if he just actually used his jab, which he's got a very, very good jab, I think he would have won that fight. But he'll be back. Jimmy will be back. I know the guy. He's a fucking tough guy.
Yeah.
He'll be back.
And 2 of the people you named there, Volkan and Thiago Morata Santos, at the time of him fighting them, they were seen as, like you say, the next big thing. And when they're on that sort of mentality of they can't be beaten. Like when Volkan fought Jimmy, and that was the decider of if he'd be ready for DC. He
overlooked him as
test.
well. I know he wouldn't say this stuff, but he was already looking past Volkan. He was thinking about DC. He was thinking about a boxing match with David Haye. I mean, you look at Volkan fighting. Jimmy should have beaten him. And I think a lot of people forget about Jimmy is he started at 28. So that's a lot of motivation to people. Like, you know, 28 years of age. Never was doing any training before that. Went to a boxing gym, got turned away from the boxing gym. They said to him, "You're too old." So he went to an MMA gym, ended up being number 3 in the world at one point. So, look, Jimmy is. If Jimmy had started the same age as me, when 16, Jimmy, that's his era is Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz. He would have destroyed them. But Jimmy's done very well, and I believe he can win those fights. I do believe he can win those fights. Just a bit of a style adjustment. I think he can win those.
Yeah, no, I really do agree. I still remember when I can't remember which time it was that they tried booking DC. It might have been DC versus Rumble or DC versus Jones. I can't remember. But all I remember Dana White saying is, "I'm making sure that Jimi Manuwa is on that card. He's going to be the backup." You know, they think highly of him, and like I said, I really do believe he will come back. But going on to yourself, so you've done your first professional fight now. So how's it working on, ROC? Every person I've spoken to who's fought for Rise of Champions have said, it's been a great organisation. Brad Pickett's been phenomenal. The team's been phenomenal. Sort of what's your relationship like with Brad? Obviously,
Brad Pickett is the nicest guy I have ever met in my life. Like that's with fighting or without fighting. The guy is the nicest guy I've ever met in my life. He treats all the fighters with respect. He goes out of his way with things. And of course, Brad Pickett, another one, started at 26 years of age, and look what he did. He ended up beating Demetrius Johnson.
I know,
the guy's another G of the fight game. Do you know what I mean? Another absolute legend. It's an honor to fight on his show. Everything was well run. You know what I found really funny? When I went into my changing room, they have like your name where you're supposed to be with your team, etc. He had the Drago, Ivan Drago sort of, I don't know what you call it, like picture underneath my name. I did that for everyone. Everyone, whatever their nickname was, like the Gent or this or that. He had like a little cartoon. He does little things like that. He just makes you feel. It makes you feel good Brad Pickett. Do you know what I mean? He's
Yeah.
an uplifting kind of guy. So, yeah.
But that's it, mate. You know, you've had a relationship with, if you would say, top 5 British pioneers of MMA, I think that everyone would sort of unanimously agree it'd be the likes of Michael Bisping, Dan Hardy, Brad Pickett, Jimmy Manuwa. And then, I think someone like Ross Pearson, I think, being another person who won tough against when it was UK versus US, I'm not sure if you saw that season, Ross Pearson was just kind of under the radar, and out of nowhere, he just really brought it. So, but,
that's what the English do, mate.
Exactly. That's what I mean. No one saw Bisping.
I'll tell you something as well. Mark Goddard, another one. Very, very good referee.
Caught some slack this weekend.
Yeah.
Caught a bit of slack this weekend.
Bollocks.
I like Dominic Cruz. John Anik?
I think Dominic Cruz is very, very good at what he does. I think the guy is intelligent. You can tell he is. But what his comment was not intelligent. And believe me, I've grappled with Mark Goddard, and that guy can wrestle.
Yeah, I found that odd. That was such an odd thing to say. It was like a playground talk. Like, you can't wrestle.
I understand what people are saying when they want to see the grappling engage and how the audience are booing. I understand that with that, but however, when you're not even trying to pass the guy's guard, when you're just stalling and you're just trying to play out the seconds of the fight, I think that's when you do need to have action. You're not fighting, you're just holding.
Yeah,
the Diaz boys. That's what happens to the Diaz boys. That's all that people could do. They can't outbox them because they'll get out cardioed, and they can't out grapple them because they'll get caught in submission. So what they used to do is they just try and hold the Diaz boys down. I believe that there should be pride rules in that kind of stuff. It favors the wrestler.
Yeah, and that's true. And do you know what? I think Goddard, he'd appreciate what Usman was doing. Obviously, he's in a title fight. He has potential to be the first, African-born champion. It's a big opportunity, and I think Goddard respects that. But I also think Goddard wanted to make it a title fight that was exciting, that was worth remembering. I think Woodley's had slack for boring fights, and that was his opportunity. So, no, I completely agree, mate. So, you said you're now sort of taking yourself away from Jimmy and his, the coach that he provided you. So, are you full training now? I've seen on your Instagram you were in Birmingham.
I've been training full time since I was 17.
No, I meant who are you with a team now specifically? I saw you went to Birmingham to do some Gracie Barra.
You know what? So, for Jiu-Jitsu, I've been training at Hodger Gracie Academy, which is sort of West London. That is the best jiu-jitsu school in the country, hands down. You got the likes of Kiwan Gracie, Charles Negramente, Junior, Luciano, Christovan. So many brilliant coaches are down there. And of course, you got Hodger Gracie, arguably the greatest grappler of all time.
Yeah.
So ever since I've gone there, my jiu-jitsu's just skyrocketed. I've gone to like the next level with my grappling. Now the plan is I'm going to be going to New York to train with Danaher and the Renzo Gracie Academy. See, Kiwan Gracie, a very, very good friend of mine who cornered me for my fight alongside Walter Garza. Kiwan Gracie, his cousin is Renzo. So he wants to go to New York. I'm going to stay out there for like 5 weeks. And I've been told that the learning curve out there is stupid. I mean, Gordon Ryan, I think he started grappling at like 16, 17, and now he's 23 and he's the greatest grappler of all time. No gi. I'd say no one's. Maybe Felipe Pena. When I say greatest grappler of all time, I spoke a bit too quick there.
And he's a viral star as well.
Sorry?
And he's a viral star. People never used to talk about
personality,
GJ, and that's what it is. Gordon Ryan, and even you got to give Dylan Dennis his shout as well.
In this sport,
you've got to give Dylan Dennis a shout. He's there now. He's there as well. So no, I completely agree.
Thanks to Connor a little bit.
Of course,
but he has run with it. I don't know why he's calling out people like John Jones though.
Why not? Why not? He can call out Khabib. He can call out anyone he wants. He's going to get some pop-ups from MMA websites. They're going to talk about anyone he calls out. He can call out Fedor. People who like talking about it. So why not? But I remember seeing Paddy Pimblett. He went to Renzo's for a few weeks, and he said what he learned. It's just insane. You're with one of the originals, and you're already training with one, but go to New York, which is seen as like a mecca of jiu-jitsu because so many people are from there. You got Matt Serras as well. You got everyone. It must be. I bet you can't wait.
It's the system. It's the way they teach.
Yeah.
They teach it like it's a science lesson, except obviously you're not bored doing chemistry. You're enjoying it. So, for example, they'll teach you leg locks. They'll teach you you see a lot of jiu-jitsu schools, what they'll do is they'll show you the leg lock. They don't show you how to get into the leg lock. And the first leg lock starts with the grip. Then you claim inside position. Then you get inside control. Then with inside control, you use a technique. Let's call it elevation. You use elevation. Once you get into elevation, you get into ashigarami. Once you get into ashigarami, you get into a position which can create heel exposure. If you can't do that, maybe you change to cross ashigarami, maybe even to reverse ashigarami. It's a science. It gets built into your brain. It's like this, then this, then this, then this. And that's the reason why they're beating everyone, because they know what they want to do before they make their first grip. And you got all these fighters who are just, it's the way they train out there. That's why they're beating everybody. That's why they're heel hooking everyone, and that's why they're doing their thing. So I'm going to go out there, sharpen up even more, and then when I come back to England, we'll see what's next. But I know for a fact I'm going to be on the next Rise of Champions show.
Yeah,
we'd be a fight, but whether or not I fight in between that, I don't know. We'll see.
Don't make.
But it's inevitable. I mean, it's inevitable where I'm going, mate. I mean, I know, not to sound cocky, I know what my training. I don't believe there's anyone on the planet training the way I am at 20 years of age, being 6'3", lean, sharp, strong. Best training. I've got an unbelievable boxing coach in Chris Ocko. Used to be the boxing coach of Dillian White.
Wow.
Before, unfortunately, he was hit by a car, and then Dillian White moved on. But Chris Ocko is Jimi Manuwa's boxing coach, someone I still work with. By the way, when he got hit by a car, he's totally healed now.
I was about to ask.
Yeah, no, he's not in a wheelchair holding the pads. But I believe I've got all the best training. I believe I've got the best mentality. I believe I'm the smartest. I don't see anyone my age in the country, in my division. I don't see anyone near me, to be honest with you.
Well, there's not a lot of talk of the middleweight division. 6'3", that's a big, that's a good size for a middleweight.
78-inch reach, 6'3". Got good jiu-jitsu, can wrestle, got good boxing. I'm strong, I'm flexible. I don't know. I mean, you tell me.
Mate, it sounds like
maybe
you're ready to go.
I come across like a bit of an arrogant dick, but
to be honest, mate, it sounds like you know exactly what you want.
See it.
No, mate, I can appreciate it. You got to put these things out there to believe that it's going to happen. For yourself now, you're now 1-0.
5-0 amateur.
Yeah. So you
beat the
number
one French amateur middleweight. Got a belt at Killer Cam. Yeah, I mean, I've done all right. One thing I will do. I'm going to have a rematch with a fight against a guy called Astigas Salinski.
Right.
I fought that guy on my third amateur fight. If you search that up, maybe that was my fourth amateur fight. If you search that up, that was an absolute war.
Yeah. He's pro now as well.
Yes, I'm going to correct that. It was a war. I won by the scrape of my teeth, but I believe I can one round that in 2 minutes. So that's what I'm going to do the next time.
Well, you got the elbows with you now as well. So what's his?
If I had the elbows in the first fucking fight, it would have been done. You watch the fight.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't think people understand. You've got padding on the glove. It's big. You're in full mount. You're trying to punch. You get off balance. Maybe there are people out there who can do it better than me. But for me, someone who likes to get in these tight positions with my jiu-jitsu, I like to just chop these elbows down. If I get in a crucifix position, full mount, half guard. I miss the elbows, but I've got them now.
Well, there you go, mate. Well, do you know what his current situation as a pro? Is it, how many? You'd say he's gone pro. What's his current record? Do you know?
His amateur record was something like 5-2. I think his professional record. I think he's got one scheduled. I don't think he's fought yet. I think he's got one scheduled. But he's all right. He's all right. But
like I said, you want to prove that it was that
I didn't perform. It was one of those fights. I took it on 4 days' notice. There was a mix-up with the weigh-ins and stuff. I don't think he showed up for the weigh-ins. I said I'll fight him anyway. There's all these little things that happened. He was a lot bigger than me in there. I'm not going to make excuses. I'll just prove it in the next one.
You won the fight still anyway. So
yeah, I did. But it's like the way I won the fight. I want to win it in a more dominant fashion, and that's what I'm going to do.
No, mate, that's fair enough. So when is it you're actually going to New York? Is it booked yet, or you just...
So I'm going to go to UFC London. I'm going to watch that Till Masvidal fight.
Oh yeah.
After that, I think around March 20th. Oh, it's 100% I'm going, and then I'm going to be doing the New York Open out there for IBJJF. For Jiu-Jitsu, I'm going to do that no-gi.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to come back, and then we'll see. I mean, Brad Pickett has got his management company. One Punch Management.
It's got Team Titan as well.
Might be an option, but I'm just weighing everything up at the moment,
No, mate, that's completely fair enough. Going on to the London card, a lot, considering obviously Jimmy's not there. I think they needed to fill that void. A lot of British guys. I chatted to Darren Till's training partner Mike Grundy a couple of days ago. He's making his UFC debut.
The wrestler.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a out of his he's out of his 11 victories, at 8 finishes, all of them submission. He's a scary guy on the ground. Small guy. He's fights in 145. He's a small guy, but you see footage of him and Darren. You would not think he can just throw men around like it's nothing. You got Mark Diakasey on the card, who's always exciting. He's had a bit of a bad turn, bit of bad luck.
Diakasey's finish at UFC London when he did that crazy knockout.
He's
nuts, that guy.
He is, and people talked highly of him. I think he's still a phenomenal fighter. I think he's just like most people that have that ability to throw that wilder shot. Sometimes you need to stick to basics, and I think he's been caught. I remember the fight against Drago Close. Coach just knew not to let him get far away, to get the distance to do that spinning. He was just holding on to him and stuff. So it was disappointing, because I like Diakasey a lot. I think he's a very good fighter, but I think just a few things he needs to work on. And then going on to sort of the main card, what are your thoughts on Till Masvidal?
Both not really. I know what it's going to be. It's going to be a stand-up fight, 100%. You're gonna see two fighters. I think one is definitely more game than the other.
Yeah.
I'll let people at home work that one out. I think Masvidal is the guy who a lot of people, I think, will be rooting for across the world. I think he's the one that's... I like Masvidal. I always have liked Masvidal. I remember watching him doing his street fight stuff with Kimbo Slice.
Yeah, he gets big right.
All that stuff. I've always liked the way Masvidal handles himself. He doesn't have to say he's game as fuck. He doesn't have to say he's this. Everyone knows Masvidal. When he fights, he brings it.
Yeah.
Darren Till, he obviously he fought Woodley. Woodley's a very, very good fighter, but he didn't perform as well, I think, as most people thought that the guy was going to perform. To be honest with you, that's what I thought was going to happen. I thought the UFC pushed him too quickly. But it's going to be a stand-up fight. But if I'm honest, I can just see Till winning a decision. That's what I think is going to happen.
Similar to Wonder Boy, not overly exciting.
Yeah, I think it'll be more exciting than the Wonder Boy fight. I think there'll be more hands thrown.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you're going to see Masvidal chasing Till is what I think you're going to see. Okay. And I think you're going to see a decision in Till's favour. That's what I think.
No,
I don't think Till's getting knocked out. I think he's too long, he's too rangy, he's too big. I don't think Masvidal's getting knocked out. He's got a good chin, and I don't know. I think he's good. He's a very good fighter.
I think it should be an exciting fight.
It should be, but you're not going to see much grappling, I don't think. I think Masvidal can grapple, but that's just not his style, is it?
No, especially he wants to stand up and fight. That's why I think he was buzzing to potentially fight Nick Diaz. He knew you haven't got to worry about going down. Someone who does like to grapple is Gunnar Nelson. Leon Edwards got a tough task ahead of him. What do you think about that?
Ooh, if I have to predict that. See, I know Leon Edwards, in my opinion, is better than Darren Till. It's just Darren Till's got the bigger following because for whatever reason.
He just got pushed by the UFC.
Leon Edwards is, in my opinion, the better grappler. He is the better. This is compared to Till. I'm not saying that to Gunnar Nelson. I think Leon Edwards is more well-rounded as a martial artist.
Yeah.
And I think the Cowboy Cerrone that showed up against Darren Till compared to the Cowboy Cerrone that showed up against Leon Edwards was a total different Cowboy Cerrone. The Cowboy Cerrone that fought Till, I don't know where that Cowboy Cerrone was. If you compare it to the one that fought Leon Edwards, that was a much more... So that's the problem with Cerrone. He looks like a world beat, and then he looks, I don't know, he looks like a world beat, and then he looks like that. I remember when I was at UFC 202, I was there live, and I think he knocked out Rick Story, Cowboy. I remember
the perfect combination,
This guy is like ridiculous. And then you see him fight Till, and you're like, well, what the fuck was that? Leon Edwards is well-rounded. He's good everywhere. I mean, he trains with his brother, Fabian. That guy's very, very good as well. Very explosive stand-up striker. I think Leon should beat Gunnar Nelson, but I wouldn't be surprised if Gunnar got a tap or got him on the ground because Gunnar's jiu-jitsu is mad.
Yeah, his win ratio via
That is
submission
my
is
favourite
insane.
fight on the card. That's my
I'm
favourite
looking
fight on
forward
the
to
card.
that. I am.
That's
And
my
then,
favourite fight on the card.
and what
But
about
if you want my
Nathaniel Woods?
prediction, I reckon that will be a Leon Edwards decision. I know you're thinking, here's me coming with all these decisions. Why aren't I saying like knockouts and submissions?
You can't, mate. It's
What I
too
reckon.
close.
It's what I think is going to happen. I think Leon Edwards will just keep the takedown away and outstrike Gunner. That's what I think will happen.
Well, the thing with Gunner's obviously he's got good strike and he's worked, with the likes of Connor and stuff. But when you know someone's just that good on the ground, like you just know that's their main game. You need to focus on that. So I can see why Leon would be smart and hold a decision.
He's got good wrestling, Leon. He's got very good wrestling.
Yeah, if he can post himself and get back up, then he should be fine. But Leon, I rate Leon a lot. I liked him in the press conference. I thought that was the first time he was just being 100% himself when him and Darren were going back and forth. I think he saw that as his opportunity to just finally be himself.
Well, that's the fight that should have happened for this card. It should have been Till versus Edwards, and let's find out for good who is the best welterweight in the UK.
Yeah. That would have been the first time ever that two Brits have headlined a card. I'm sure of it.
The fight that should have happened, but Why?
Hopefully they both.
Let's be real for a second. Masvidal on a stylistic level is the best matchup you could have given Till.
Yeah, they're going to stand there
and Usman would out wrestle Till.
Yeah.
Kobe Covington would out wrestle Till. Askren would out wrestle Till. I mean, it's the best matchup they could have possibly given Till.
Maybe Diaz, if he wanted to come back, that could have been a good one.
They're not coming back. No, I don't. I very much doubt Nick's coming back. Nate, maybe. Nick, I doubt he's coming back.
Honestly, he doesn't need to. He really does not need to.
That's my thought. They're two of my favourite fighters. I mean, I love the way they fight. They've earned their respect. They bring it every time. I think Nick's fed up with the game. I mean, look at Askren, for example. What was that? $3,500 he was paid for the Reebok kit.
So yeah, because it was his first fight, wasn't it?
That is a joke. That's an absolute joke. And that's that Reebok deal that they've signed. Although, okay, short term, it's made them a bit of money, the UFC. That's created the competition now for one and Bellator to get involved now and start actually building up the levels of these other promotions, getting good fighters. Masasi is getting paid so much more than he was when he was at UFC. Now he's the Bellator champion. Rory McDonald, all these fighters. I mean, UFC, I think that Reebok deal was suicide in the long run.
Yeah, I think obviously you get paid. It's per appearance, how many appearances you have. But if you think about it, Nate would probably get paid a lot.
Shaw, you should see what he was getting paid, mate. You should see what he was getting paid.
Well, no, because you talked about, didn't he? Talked about what he was getting through sponsorships and through podcasting, and then compared to the Reebok, it was something insane. He said he was losing six figures over it, but I don't think we'll see Diaz again. I think even Dana knows that he'll always sort of always talk to him. I don't think he'd never turn him away, but he just knows the situation now, which is fair enough. So final fight, to get your thoughts on Nathaniel Wood. He's on that card.
Pound for pound, best fighter in the UFC for Britain or in the world when it comes to mixed martial arts. In my opinion, I think the guy's pound for pound the best fighter. I think he has brilliant striking, brilliant wrestling, good jiu-jitsu. I think he is pound for pound the best fighter. And it's only a matter of time until that's proved. I think 2019 will be the year it's proven that Nathaniel Woods the pound for pound best fighter from England or Great Britain.
Yeah, I'd love to see him now shoot up the rankings. I'd love to see him fight. Do you know who I was gutted that the fight pulled for? I tried pronouncing his name earlier. I'm not going to try it again. But
he fought on a show that I've fought before on Killer Cam. The cousin, he's the French guy, isn't he?
Oh, yeah, Ducournois, and Fire Kid.
He's very good.
He is, and that was he was the former Barmer champion. Nathaniel was the former Cage Warriors champion. Just for me, I just thought it'd be a great domestic fight. Obviously, he's European, he's French, but just having the two at the time, two sort of biggest organisations in the UK, their champions would be fighting in the UFC. That would just been a great competition. I thought hopefully Fire Kid would come back to London card, but not to be. I hope so.
A fighter that's not fighting on the card. Obviously, Jimi Manuwa has got an injury, but a fighter that's not fighting on the card that really pissed me off that he's not fighting on the card is Darren Stewart, the dentist.
Yeah, Darren.
That wound me up that he wasn't fighting on the card, especially when you watch his fight against Bird. he brings it. Darren the dentist is another guy that brings it. He wants to have a scrap, that guy.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're not putting him on his hometown's card, I think's a joke. But what can you do?
Yeah, at the same time, though, I think it's getting to that stage now. You need to stop putting British fighters, only on the UK card. Like you had Chris Fishgold, who I'm hoping to talk to a little bit later on. You know, he fought at UFC Prague, and he fought he fought Daniel Tamer.
Yeah, I know. I've trained with Daniel Tamer at All Stars.
Yeah, no. So obviously, him and his brother David, both very good European fighters. David Tamer's since the Armour
He did
Fighter.
a good job, Fishgold. He did a very good
job. I'll openly admit to Fishgold, I thought Tamer might have it because both of them have been phenomenal. But Fishgold shut it down really quick, just phenomenal. I thought. But it's nice to see them not always on the UK card. You want to start seeing people like Darren Dent's shirt going across board.
I feel that's for stuff like Till. Till's now established. Let Till go and fight on these pay-per-view cards and stuff. Get someone like Nathaniel Woods to main event the show, or build someone's name up. Do you know what I mean? I don't know why Till Liverpudlian is main eventing UFC London. Nothing against Liverpool. Liverpool's cool, but this is UFC London. This is poster boy Jimi Manuwa. This is Nathaniel Wood, the prospect. This is a London fucking show.
Yeah, 100%.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do.
Till's got 500,000 followers on Instagram.
Yeah.
Let Nathaniel Wood build his following. Let Darren the dentist. These are London fighters.
I think they fear. Belongs to. I think what they fear is obviously Bisping, even though he was a Manc guy, he always headlined London, or Dan Hardy might, or maybe Brad Pickett. Like Brad Pickett never really headlined the London. It was always sort of Michael Bisping. I think they always worry that they got to fill out the O2, and to do that they need a big star. We know who Nathaniel Wood is. I think he's a phenomenal star.
But he's still not sell out. Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I think he possibly could.
I think UFC London sells, mate. I think the number of people who want to go to the thing, it's growing every year.
Yeah,
I think it agree. Sells. 3 letters UFC. I think they just sell. But maybe.
Yeah. I had somebody call me up a couple of years ago, and they were like, Dominic, listen to me. I've got tickets to Bisping Musashi, and I was like, I'd love to go, but I'm going on holiday. And then a couple of days later, he was like, "Oh, Dom, guess what? It's now Anderson Silva." I was like, "Oh, come on, that would have been the card to go to."
I was there for that one. That was a mad one.
The atmosphere would have been insane.
You just mentioned Musashi as well. That's another guy that I'm going to be training with as well. I've got a friend called Frank Munoz, who's a top kickboxer. He was used by Gustafsson and Daniel Cormier as the anti-John Jones because of his frame being very similar to John.
Yeah.
Frank Munoz trains at a Cops gym in Amsterdam, which is the same gym Musashi trains out of. And I've got, hopefully, a chance, I believe, to do some sparring and training with Gegard Musashi, who, in my opinion, is the best middleweight in the world in MMA. So that's going to be a good opportunity for me.
I think, honestly, that was the biggest. That was probably one of the, out of everyone that's moved out of the UFC to whether it's one Bellator or ONE FC, I think Musashi was the one that I really felt just a bit gutted about.
I think he's going to have about 4 more fights at Bellator, and he'll come back.
I think right now he's enjoying that time. I remember when he
first make his money, mate.
Yeah, when he was talking to Ariel Helwani, when he first saw in Bellator, he was like, "Yeah, it's 5 fights. I get to fight for the title. I can fight whoever I want. That I choose their testing. If they've failed drug tests, I can go. I can fight other champions." I think it gave him free reign, and look what he's done since then. He just absolutely dominated. The first fight was a little bit shaky against Shlemenko. It happens. Then he won the title. Then he did phenomenally against McDonald, and the sky's the limit for him there.
I'm watching him at Bellator London 200 when he won the belt.
Yeah,
beast.
He made the guy Carvalho was on 16 fight win streak, and he didn't get a look in. So just shows how good Gegard Musashi really is. But
he beats Gastelum. He beats Whitaker, in my opinion. He beats Adesanya. Adesanya it's a fucking joke that guy's getting the interim title shot. Who's he beating? He's beating a 44-year-old Anderson Silva, and who else?
Derek Brunson.
Derek fucking
Brunson. Yeah.
Derek Brunson. That just sums it up. I'd beat Derek Brunson, mate. I'd beat Derek Brunson. I mean, I'm 20 years old and I'd be Derek Brunson. I mean, mate, Adesanya, he needs to go through those killers. Balachinha, he needs to go against Yoel Romero. He needs to go against Jacare Souza. He needs to go against Chris Weidman, Luke Rockhold. He needs to go against one of these monsters before you start getting title shots. I mean, Gastelum is stylistically a good matchup for Adesanya because he is just so much smaller.
Yeah.
He's 5'9", Adesanya's 6'4".
Mm-hmm.
So I can see Adesanya maybe winning that fight, but I do not see Adesanya beating Gegard Mousasi. I don't see him beating Weidman. I don't see him beating Jacare, Yoel Romero, Borrachinha. Yeah. So that just shows you though the power of the UFC. If they're able to see a fighter that's got a bit of a personality,
bit style, bit swag,
they match him up and they build him in. And now Adesanya's fighting for a world title.
Yeah, you know what?
Blows my mind, but
the people that I would like to see Adesanya fight first instead of the Anderson Silvas, I would like to see him fight Luke Rockhold. I think just both of them got the reach, both of them have got the kicks. I'd like to see how that would have went. And like you say, Weidman, I think he's not fought someone who's a real wrestler, someone who's going to put you against the fence, hold you, grab you down, throw you around a little bit. I think people thought Brunson might be that guy, but
no.
They thought. I think people thought Brunson might be able to put a bit of pressure on it.
If people thought that, then they are deluded. Because I tell you what, there's a level difference between Jacare Souza and Derek Brunson. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. I think, when I first saw Derek Brunson versus Adesanya, I thought, here's somebody who's going to stand in his face. You know, Brunson's he's come off that terrible fight against Anderson Silva. He's just got knocked out by Jacare. This is his chance to put it on the line a little bit, put it against someone like Adesanya who's got a bit of hype behind him, and show he can put some pressure on him. But
and he melted.
He did. He gave up before. I remember watching him on the Embedded, and I was just like, the things you're saying don't sound like you believe you're going to win this fight. He was talking about how he just wants to just stay in the hotel room, play on an Xbox instead of go to the open workout. I was just like, wow, that didn't sound very convincing. But you know what?
Look, this is my theory with it. Adesanya, he beat Anderson Silva, and yeah, he did win that fight. But do you think that Jacare Souza, Romero, Rockhold, Mousasi, do you honestly believe? No, look, I respect the Spider. Spider's a great fighter, but he's 44. He's had a broken leg. Do you believe these fighters would have not finished that fight?
No, I don't think so. I think
buried in one round. There's levels. There's levels.
Yeah, I do. I personally think the person they should be investing a lot of their time in the UFC is Borrachinha. Especially if he can come through Yoel Romero. We'll see how that goes.
I don't think he would beat Yoel Romero. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think he'll beat Yoel Romero. But that guy is a fucking tank. Do you know what I mean? He comes at you. He's powerful. He hits hard. That guy, I think, is the real deal.
Even if he can go to a decision with Romero and it's a good fight, it will definitely raise his stock because Romero's still the, he's seen as.
I believe he beat Whitaker in that last fight. Yeah, Romero.
So did I, but I think it was already stacked against him the fact he missed weight. I think he missed weight against Rockhold. He missed weight against Whitaker. I think if he'd won that fight like he did against Rockhold, it would have been sort of turmoil. I don't know how the UFC would have got around that. So if it was going to a decision, it was close enough. I think Whitaker was always going to get the nod. But I'm looking forward to Gastelum, Adesanya, and I think it's going to be an interesting fight. So for yourself, what does 2019 hold for you? At the end of 2019, is there any prediction you'd like to give yourself?
I want to go to the Worlds and win blue belt no gi.
Okay.
Which I believe I will do. Advance to 2-3-0 in professional mixed martial arts. I believe after this year, 2019, as I head into 2020, I believe I'll be at a level at that point where I think the British middleweight scene I can start attacking.
Yeah.
Who's on the circuit here? I believe by the time I'm around 22, 23, I feel like I can do what I want. That's my plan. That's what I think.
I tell you what, mate. I haven't done this yet, but I truly believe it. Right, let's pretend because this is going to be this little section, this little snippet we're about to say right now is going to be replayed in 5 years' time. So at 25 years old, where's Will Currie going to be?
I'd have made the smartest decision I wouldn't be going to a promotion unless I was being given the best deal. So whoever's given me the best deal. But in an ideal world, where I'll be, I believe I'll be the champion, and if not the champion, a high contender in a division, middleweight, I believe. And I believe I'll have a fucking huge amount of skills and having a lot of problems getting fights because my jiu-jitsu is too good and my striking's pretty snappy. That's what I reckon.
Mate, it's out there now. There it is.
I reckon.
And I hopefully we'll be touching base in 5 years' time. We'll be talking about this exact conversation.
It'd be pretty cool. It'd be pretty
it
cool.
would
I
be,
remember
mate.
I was with a mate of mine, and we were playing UFC 3, the video game, and you can see Conor McGregor obviously is like the front cover and stuff, and we were just sitting there, just thinking to ourselves, like, how trippy must that be for him to think of? Like, imagine him being 18, 19, 20, and imagining his future and seeing where he'll be. Imagine seeing that image, how trippy that image would be.
That would be. And I can also imagine something like, I think that's the beauty with the UFC, like, I can't remember which one it was in London where he went to, and it was Chuck Liddell. Was that? Maybe it was like UFC 75 or something. I'm not sure, but or maybe it was a little bit higher up. But also, you're talking about like the UFC numbers, and you think, okay, where are we at right now? We're at UFC 223, you know, around that area, whatever 230. It all just keeps going up and up and up. You know, I was champ at 205. Like, you give yourself a number and you think, we're at this number here. What number is it that I'm going to be the headline? What number is it that I'm going to win the belt?
Yeah.
And when you start like putting that out there, you think, okay, UFC 262, I could be headlining it, and who knows?
What is it now? UFC 236 is the next one.
Yeah, so 234 was in Australia, so then we had 235. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe something like UFC 262 to something like UFC 280 will be my time. That's what I reckon.
272, I'm calling it.
All right, we'll see.
We'll see.
I'll back myself.
There we go, mate. I'll back you too. I like the attitude. I like the belief, mate. I really do. But Will, mate, I really do appreciate the time today, and definitely be touching base in the future. Keep me updated on everything, and as soon as we hear anything about ROC 8, we'll definitely be having a conversation. All right.
Nice one, Don. Thanks a lot, mate.
No worries, mate. Have yourself a good day.
You too, mate. Bye. Bye.